Have you ever wondered, why are there always people who love testing your patience and pushing your boundaries? Or maybe you've asked yourself, do I really have to keep tolerating it? Letting people treat my time and feelings like they don't matter? And if you've ever wished for a way to handle disrespectful people while staying calm and keeping your self-respect intact, then this video is for you. Today, I'm breaking down some brutally honest, and yes, maybe a little controversial, ways to deal with disrespect. You'll learn how to draw clear lines with people without losing your cool. And without lowering yourself to their level. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll be equipped with every tool you need to show people exactly where your boundaries are. Ready? Let's jump right in. 1. The silent stare, a power move in disguise. Let's kick things off with one of my personal favorite, slightly savage tactics, the silent stare. Now you might be thinking, really? Just staring? Yes, trust me on this one. It's far more powerful than you'd imagine. When someone's being openly rude or disrespectful, nothing throws them off more than a calm, silent, completely unbothered stare. No words, no expression, just steady eye contact. Why does this work so well? Because disrespectful people are usually looking for a reaction. They want you to get flustered, to snap back, or to stumble over your words. They want to pull you into their drama so they can stay in control. But when you just stand your ground and meet him with nothing but calm silence, the entire power dynamic shifts in your favor. It might sound passive-aggressive at first. But hear me out, this isn't about being petty. It's about taking back control without even saying a word. That silent stare? It's often the clearest, strongest no you'll ever give. Let me share a moment when this tactic worked like magic for me. I was in a team meeting, and there was this one guy who kept interrupting me, cutting me off mid-sentence, like he was on some kind of mission to dominate the room. You know the type, loud, overconfident, acting like everyone's just there to hear his wisdom. At first, I tried to be polite, tried to interject, but he wouldn't stop, so finally, I leaned back in my chair, crossed my arms, and stared straight at him. No blinking, no words, just 5 solid seconds of unflinching eye contact. You could feel the tension in the room shift. Other people at the table started looking at him too, waiting to see what he'd do next. And guess what happened? He fumbled over his words, got visibly uncomfortable, and started looking everywhere but at me. He didn't interrupt me again for the rest of that meeting. In fact, after that day, he treated me with a whole new level of respect. Sometimes, you don't have to fight back with words. You just have to show people, through your silence, that you're not someone to be messed with. But here's the thing, this tactic isn't just about flipping the power dynamic. It's a subtle reminder to both them and yourself that you don't have to react on someone else's terms. You don't owe anyone an emotional response. And you definitely don't need to explain yourself to people who refuse to recognize your worth. Too often, when someone disrespects us, we feel pressured to defend ourselves, to explain, or worse, to brush it off just to avoid conflict. The silent stare changes that. It's not aggression, it's calm, steady, unapologetic control. And here's another layer to it. People who are used to disrespecting others often get away with it because no one ever calls them out. No one ever holds up a mirror to their behavior. When you hit them with that cold, silent stare, you're doing exactly that. You're making them sit with their own actions, without saying a single word. And believe me, most people don't like what they see. What surprised me most when I started using this technique wasn't just how quickly people backed off, but how it made me feel. I used to be the type who would nervously laugh off rude comments or rush to explain myself when someone questioned my choices. And honestly, that drained me. It made me feel smaller. Learning to just hold a silent stare, to let the quiet fill the room without backing down, was a total game changer. It felt like a small act of defiance, a quiet, powerful declaration of self-respect. So next time someone crosses the line, tries to belittle you, or pushes your buttons, try it. Hold that stare. Let them feel the weight of your calm. You'll be amazed by how uncomfortable it makes them, and how empowered it makes you feel. And that's just the first move. We're only getting started. There's a whole lineup of ways to handle disrespect with class, calm, and absolute confidence. Ready to dive into the next one? After talking about the silent stare as a subtle yet powerful way to respond to disrespect without saying a word, let's dive into another underrated but incredibly effective tool you probably haven't fully tapped into. 2. Embrace silence as your answer. This is one of those secret weapons people hear about but rarely use properly. When someone disrespects you, sometimes the strongest, boldest response you can give is no response at all. I get it, you might be thinking. But if I stay quiet, aren't I letting them get away with it? Actually, no. Silence isn't weakness. It's a choice. And sometimes, it's the loudest, most defiant answer you could possibly give. Here's why. When someone hurls negativity your way, passive-aggressive remarks, backhanded compliments, or just plain rudeness, what they're really doing is trying to pull you into their mess. They want you to lose your cool, argue, or defend yourself. But when you don't engage, when you let their words hang awkwardly in the air without even flinching, you leave them standing alone with their behavior. And that silence? It's deafening. Why does this work so well? Because people who disrespect others are expecting a reaction. They want a fight, a snappy comeback, some justification for their behavior. But your silence says, I'm not giving you my time, my energy, or my attention. By not responding, you keep control of the situation. You send a clear, unspoken message: I'm not here to entertain your nonsense. I'll give you a real example. I once knew someone who had a habit of making those sly little digs, you know the type. Disguising insults as jokes and pretending it's all in good fun. One day, this person made an unnecessary, passive-aggressive comment about my work, clearly fishing for a reaction. Normally, I might have explained myself or fired back with something sharp. But this time, I just looked at him, raised one eyebrow, and said nothing. I let his words hang there. And you could feel the air in the room shift. He fidgeted, looked down, mumbled something, and moved on. And you know what? That was the last time he tried that with me. It was like he realized that if I wasn't going to react, there was no game to play, no power to be won. And that's the beauty of silence. It starves disrespect of the attention it craves. But here's the deeper truth. When you choose silence, you're choosing yourself. You're saying, I value my peace more than I value your opinion of me. And that isn't just empowering, it's life-changing. We live in a world that pressures us to always explain, defend, and justify our choices to people who don't actually respect us. But the moment you embrace silence, you refuse to play by those rules. You're quietly telling them, you're not worth my words. And it's not just about managing the moment. It's about protecting your energy. Silence is like a filter. It shields your peace by blocking out the negativity others try to dump on you. The second you stop feeling obligated to respond to every rude comment, every snide remark, you free yourself. You take away their access to your emotions and start living on your own terms. I'll be honest with you, learning to use silence wasn't easy for me. I used to believe that if I didn't defend myself, people would think I was weak. But over time, I noticed something. Every time I reacted to people's disrespect, I ended up drained and frustrated. But when I stayed quiet, when I let their words fade like background noise, I felt lighter, calmer, stronger. It felt like I took back a little piece of my power every single time. So here's my challenge to you. The next time someone disrespects you, just pause. Take a deep breath, look them in the eye, and say nothing. Let your silence do the talking. Watch how quickly it makes them uncomfortable, and how free it makes you feel. Embrace silence as your answer. Because sometimes, saying nothing is the most powerful statement you'll ever make. And listen, we're not done yet. Because up next, we're going to talk about something I know a lot of you have struggled with, the habit of over-explaining your decisions to people who don't deserve an explanation in the first place. Sound familiar? After learning the power of silence and how it can become your boldest statement, now let's talk about another habit you need to break if you want to reclaim your peace and confidence: the urge to explain yourself. 3. Stop explaining your choices. For a long time, I found myself stuck in this endless loop. Every time I made a decision, whether it was about my career, my relationships, or even something as simple as why I didn't attend a party, people would immediately jump in with questions. Why would you leave such a stable job? How do you plan to make it work? At first, I felt obligated to explain. I'd lay out my reasons carefully. Talk about how I wanted something more meaningful. How I had a clear plan. And why this was the right move for me. But no matter how well I explained, it never seemed to satisfy them. In fact, the more I explained, the more people poked holes in my reasoning. It was like every answer I gave only opened the door for more doubts and subtle jabs, making me feel like I constantly had to prove myself. And honestly, it was exhausting. Then one day, something inside me shifted. When someone asked me, "But why would you leave that job?" Instead of launching into another long-winded explanation, I simply replied, "Because I wanted to." No extra details. No breakdown of my 5-year plan. Just those 4 simple words. And let me tell you, it was one of the most liberating feelings I've ever had. The silence that followed was golden. People didn't know how to respond because I had stripped away their ability to challenge or dissect my choices. Without fuel for their opinions, the conversation had nowhere to go. And you know what? Over time, they just stopped asking. The moment they realized I wasn't going to explain myself was the moment they lost the power to question me. And here's the deeper beauty of it: when you stop explaining yourself, you free yourself. You stand firmly in your own truth, knowing that your decisions are valid simply because you made them. You no longer waste your precious time and mental energy trying to win other people's approval. Instead, you redirect that energy into actually living the life you want. There's a powerful lesson in this. Your life isn't a committee meeting where every decision needs a vote. Not every move you make has to be reviewed, analyzed, and approved by everyone around you. And when you stop explaining yourself, you send a silent message to the world: I am confident enough in my choices that I don't need your validation. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a truly self-assured person explaining every one of their decisions in detail? Probably never, because people who own their lives don't seek external permission. They understand that the only approval that matters comes from within. I'll be honest, I wasn't always like this. I used to be the person who would practically put together a PowerPoint presentation just to convince people why I was making a certain decision. I'd over-explain in hopes that if everyone understood, maybe they'd support me. But over time, I realized something: the more I explained myself, the more I second-guessed my choices. And that constant need for external reassurance was draining me. So, I made a personal rule. If someone asked about a decision, I'd give a short, honest answer, maybe a sentence or 2 at most. If they pushed for more, I'd simply smile, change the subject, and move on. And you know what? Life felt instantly lighter. The less I explained, the more confident I became in my own path. So here's my challenge for you. The next time someone questions a choice you've made, whether it's about your career, your relationships, or your lifestyle, resist the urge to justify it. Take a deep breath, look them in the eye, and calmly say, "Because I wanted to," or "That's what felt right for me." Then, let the silence do the rest. You'll be amazed by how powerful that moment feels. You'll feel stronger, more in control, and, most importantly, at peace with yourself. And you'll realize something deeply freeing: your choices don't need anyone else's stamp of approval. They're valid because you made them. 4. Now, speaking of reclaiming your peace, sometimes the smartest, healthiest move you can make isn't about silence or short answers. It's about something even bolder: creating space. Because not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. And that's exactly what we're about to dive into next. In the previous part, we talked about creating distance from those who don't respect you, an act that isn't just about self-care but also a way to affirm that your peace and your worth truly come first. And once you've placed yourself as a priority, you no longer have to play any role others try to assign to you. You don't owe anyone access to your mind, your time, or your emotions. Every time you choose to put a little space between yourself and disrespectful people, you're sending out a quiet but powerful message: I choose my peace of mind above everything else. And you know what? That's not just self-care, it's self-respect. This distance also gives you the chance to pause, to refocus, and to reconnect with the relationships that truly matter, the ones that lift you up, energize you, and remind you of your value. Think about it for a second: the more time you spend around people who respect you, the more confident, fulfilled, and at ease you'll feel. On the other hand, the less time you give to those who tear you down, the less space they'll have to invade your thoughts, affect your mood, or weigh down your life. I used to feel guilty about creating distance from people, even those who didn't treat me well. My mind would spiral with questions like, what if they think I don't care, or am I overreacting? But over time, life taught me something important: distancing myself wasn't just about avoiding negativity. It was about making space for personal growth. When I finally gave myself permission to step away from people who didn't respect me, a new kind of freedom appeared. I felt lighter, more energized, more peaceful, and most importantly, I could see clearly who truly deserved a place in my life and who didn't. Now, here's a little challenge for you. Think about the people in your life right now. Who constantly disrespects you? Who makes you feel small, drained, or like you're not enough? Then ask yourself, do they really deserve this much access to me? If you can be honest with that question, you're already taking one bold step toward reclaiming your life. And once you've created that space, removed the negative weight, you'll need one quiet, powerful weapon to carry with you, something timeless and endlessly effective. No matter what life throws your way. Can you guess what it is? Let's turn to the next part and uncover it together. In the last part, I shared with you how holding your head high can be a quiet but incredibly powerful way to deal with people who don't respect you. And you know what? It's not just about physical posture, it's about your mental stance, your self-respect, and your inner strength. Now, let's dive a little deeper into what that simple act is really telling the world. The truth is, holding your head high is a constant reminder that you are worthy of respect and, more importantly, you have always been enough, with or without anyone's approval. Here's a powerful message I want you to take with you. Self-worth isn't something you wait for others to hand you, it's something you claim for yourself. No matter what anyone thinks or says, you can walk through life as if you already have everything you need within you. And the truth is, you do. 5. Every time you lift your head high, you remind yourself that you are the main character in your story. No one else's opinion should ever have the power to make you feel small. And the best part? The more you practice this, the less other people's disrespect will even register in your mind. You'll be too focused on living in your own lane, too secure in who you are, to be dragged down by anyone's negativity. Now, I'll be honest, this didn't come naturally to me at first. I used to be that person who would slump my shoulders, avoid eye contact, and quietly shrink whenever someone was critical or dismissive. In a way, it felt safer to disappear. But over time, I started noticing something. Every single time I held my head high, every time I refused to let someone's negativity seep into my spirit, I felt stronger. It was like I was reminding myself, over and over, that I didn't need anyone's permission to feel worthy. I could simply stand tall in who I was. Holding your head high isn't just about how you carry your body, it's about how you carry your mind. Walk into every room like you belong there. Don't shrink yourself to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. And if someone throws a snarky comment your way, let it roll off you. They're not seeing the real you, they're just projecting their own insecurities. So why let it bother you? Here's a little challenge for you. The next time you feel disrespected, whether it's a subtle jab or a straight-up insult, don't react. Instead, take a deep breath, roll your shoulders back, lift your head, and look him straight in the eye. As if to say, I see you, but I'm above this. You'll feel a wave of confidence rush through you. A sense of peace that comes from knowing their words hold no power over you. Holding your head high is more than good posture, it's a bold, silent declaration of your self-worth. It says, I know who I am. I value who I am. And nothing you say can change that. Because at the end of the day, respect starts with you. The more you respect yourself, the less room there is for anyone else's disrespect to stick. So stand tall, own your worth, and remember, you're worthy of every ounce of that confidence. And that, my friend, is how you deal with people who just don't get it, and probably never will. Life's way too short to spend it bending over backwards for people who refuse to see your value. You don't need anyone's permission to stand tall. Protect your peace, and live life on your own terms. People will try to tear you down, test your boundaries, and question your choices. That's just how the world works sometimes. But here's the thing, you get to choose what energy you allow in. And you set the standard for how you deserve to be treated. The best part is, the more you focus on self-respect, the more you'll attract people who recognize your worth, people who uplift you instead of pulling you down. And it all begins with you, owning your power and letting everything else fall into place. So lift that head, embrace the quiet when it serves you, and never, ever apologize for walking away from what no longer serves you. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. If this video gave you something to think about, inspired you, or made you feel a little stronger, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content about owning your life and building unshakable confidence. If you know someone who could use a reminder to hold their head high, go ahead and share this with them. And I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below if you've ever had to handle disrespect. Set tough boundaries, or reclaim your peace. Your story might just help someone else out there. Until next time, take good care, stay strong, and always remember, respect starts with you.